Welcome to the Behind the Art Inspiration podcast. In these special edition episodes of Creative Lifebook interviews, I'll meet with co authors of the book and discuss their creative life hacks. We will also touch on how the book has become a springboard for magic. In this episode, I connect with artist and podcast host Dawn Bova, the author of Chapter 39 Art, a Pathway Through Grief. I'm your host, Caroline Karp, filming for my Clearwater, Florida studio. So this is the Creative Lifebook. It's full of reflections on the art of living a fully expressed life. It's written by Jessica Hughes and 65 thought leaders, wellness experts, artists, and creatives, and the foreword is by Dr. Joe Vitale. So welcome here, Dawn. It's so great to finally connect with you and have you on the podcast. I was doing a little bit of research before we came on, and I do research in here, and I want to start with write a note to the universe on canvas and paint over it. I want to start there because I do that. A lot of my work, people might not know this, starts like that. So I'd love to hear how you do that with your work.
So I'll just scribble something on with a marker or Posca pen or even a pencil. And sometimes it's not even legible. It's just something that I know what it says. And then I can use that as a backdrop. And to me, it's a way of putting some energetic connection into the painting. And sometimes I'll hint to what that is, but other times I won't even mention it at all.
Yeah. And you also wrote, when you put you into the art, the art radiates an irresistible energy and people are drawn to it, even if you feel like your art isn't the best.
Right. I can't tell you how many times I've painted something and I think, I don't really like that. And boom, they buy it. So it's just something that people connect with. And I do believe that, like we've heard, it's not always about the art itself. It's about the energetic connection that someone has with that piece of art, what it says to them, how it makes them feel. Buying art to match your furniture. I mean, yeah, you can kind of get the colors to where, but there's so much out there. It's much, much more than that.
Yeah.
And
it's so important what you just said, and I love it. It's if you're an energetic match to the art and you feel that connection, then that art is meant for you.
Right.
And it sometimes it's educating people along those lines, and sometimes it's just magical and it just happens.
Right. So sometimes I'll talk a little bit about my artwork and try and explain it and, give a little bit of reference. I have an affinity toward blue jays. So when I first started painting, I would put a little blue jay head behind my signature because after Brad died, it was shortly after, and I couldn't get out of bed. I didn't want to. I didn't want to face the day. And I laid there and I said a little prayer and I talked to Brad and I said, I know that you're okay. I know you're good, but I just need something, please. And, I got up and I forgot about that. And I was down in the living room and I was washing the picture window. And I thought, maybe I'll put up the Christmas tree. I wasn't going to. And it, something just said, oh, just go ahead and put it up. So as I'm washing that window, this blue jay flew on this branch right in front of the window and stared at me. And I thought, oh, that's weird. He's just looking at me. And it was quite some time just looking at me. And I finally thought, oh, maybe I should take a picture. And in my head, I'm thinking, oh, could this be my sign? I mean, I'm supposed to see a cardinal, right? That's what people see. But no, it was a blue jay. And of course, the blue jay flew away. And I looked up the spirit meaning of the blue jay. And, they're fierce and they're, maybe argumentative, but they also are protectors. And, and then it talked about, maybe if this is your spirit animal, you would be an attorney or something like that. And like everything I read was Brad. Everything. I was like, well, there's my sign. So I've been a firm believer that if we look and we are open to the signs of the universe, we will see them. So I have a really strong connection to the blue jay. I don't put the blue jay behind my signature all the time now, but I still have that really strong connection to the blue jay.
That's
So
beautiful.
Yeah. And I don't know, I probably got off tangent with that, but
No, not at all. No, because your the title of your chapter once again is Art, a Pathway Through Grief. So you're actually right on topic.
yeah.
And so
Yeah.
other people that are experiencing the same kind of loss
Mhm.
would really want to have a connection with how you found peace and how you found yourself where you are, and how can you help them?
So there's no one right or wrong way to experience grief. I'm in a lot of grief support groups and with moms that have lost children because that's a pretty significant loss. And everybody deals with it a little bit differently. When I lost Brad, I got involved in service work and I did a lot of it. Like, and people used to say, I don't know how you do everything. How do you do it all? And, almost, that was almost like,
Yeah.
and it did feel good. It felt good to help people. I really focused on addiction and recovery because, Brad died of an overdose. So I have helped a lot of people in that realm. But it was after I experienced the second loss, Brad's sponsor, who was like a son to me, my sister said, we're going to paint. And I said, no, no, I don't want to paint. She said, oh yeah, you're going to paint. And I said, no, but I was going to her house for a little getaway and I walked in and there's all the paint out on the table and the canvas. And she goes, we're painting.
That's
So
awesome.
I really didn't have a choice. And I sat down and I painted that painting. And it was really the first time in a really long time that I was able to be still and experience peace and happiness and joy. And, even though I was painting a lion head in remembrance of Brian, because he had this big lion tattoo on his back. I wasn't sad at all. And I finished that painting and it was like something shifted in me. almost like a permission to feel joy again, feel happiness, do something for me. I still volunteer. I love to give back, but this was just for me.
Mm.
And I started showing the art online and people were connecting with it and I was selling it. And then in 2020, I formed Heartwork by Dawn. So I guess I can only share my experience. And I think the biggest takeaway for me is I allowed myself the permission to be happy again. I'm almost going to cry talking about it because, when you lose a child, it's like you lose part of you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And you almost feel guilty for being happy again. It's hard to explain, but that's what art and creativity have done for me.
Yeah. And I was just talking to Lynn. Lynn, she does
Yes.
a podcast with you, very good friend of
Yes.
yours, and she's a chemist. And we were
Yeah.
talking about just like this chemistry that shifts in your mind. I might have been talking about that. She probably
Mhm.
said it a different way, but I feel like being creative and allowing yourself joy does alter the chemistry in your body and in your mind. And you just said that, you just talked about it so eloquently, of just, you said there was a change, a shift that
Yeah.
happened.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So there's real science behind it because, also a nurse practitioner.
Oh, okay.
So I really love the science stuff. And there's a new book. I'm an avid reader, and it's called Your Brain on Art.
Oh,
And
wow. Okay.
it's from I wish I knew the women's names, but one of them is from John Hopkins University. She's a scientist.
Hmm.
And the other one works for like IBM or Google or something like that out in California. And they came together and they started doing all these studies on the effect of creativity on the brain. And, we know, like how I explained how you feel, but they're actually showing, yes, creativity creates new neural pathways in the brain. So just like what I talk about recovery from addiction, you're always going to have those pathways in your brain. I'm always going to have the experience of the grief and the loss. But what I'm doing with the art is creating these new pathways. And the more I practice, the stronger the new pathways come. And they override the old pathways. So I do feel joy, and I feel joy a lot. And, I was, we played some really different songs at Brad's showing. One of them was the Beatles' Revolution, and I could never listen to that song. Like every time I listened to that song, I would cry. We played Grateful Dead, Eyes of the World. I don't know if you know any of these songs, but
Hmm.
anyway, um, now I can listen to those songs and I can appreciate, the beauty that he brought here while he was here. And it's just a whole new way of living, thinking. And I do think it's my purpose to, help other people move forward through grief or any kind of trauma, right? Because there's a lot of traumatic events that happen in one's life, and I'm sure that I mean one thing I know for sure is life happens and it's not always happy. And, I'm probably going to have some more trials in this lifetime, but I have the tools to get through them. And I think everybody can latch onto those tools, but creativity is huge. And you don't even have to be what you consider a good artist. Just the act of doing creates those pathways. And there's research to prove it, because I'm a big research geek. I love research.
And not only, being the creator of the artwork itself, but also looking at the artwork and like just looking at, your canvas behind you and maybe looking at my canvas
Yeah.
behind me, the viewer is also being creative in just the act of appreciating and looking at the art.
In fact, they
Yes.
studied that too in the book, and
Uh-huh.
it absolutely does create those new neural pathways. So spot on. Mhm.
Yeah. And when at the bottom of your chapter, as because the book, the first, it's become a research manual for me. Like, and at the end of everybody's life hack is a link, that you
Uh-huh.
can go to. And I clicked on your link,
Uh-huh.
and you're sharing art with the world.
Yes.
Very accessible. So
Yes.
I'll put it in the show links, but tell us a little bit
Okay.
about that, because everything you're talking about all goes together.
Yeah. So that collection, on the prints, Don Bove prints, I put a collection of 4 paintings together. 3 of them are like Tree of Life. That's one of them.
Mhm.
And then one of them, I was just having some turbulence in my life. And so I just painted this big turbulent thing. And then I put like some swipes of color, you know, and I stood back and I'm like, I really like that. I love this. And at first I was calling it Turbulent Waters. And I posted it and somebody said, "Oh my gosh, I see the hand of God reaching into the turbulent waters." And I'm like, yes, that's it. So my collection is really called Rooted in Faith,
Mm.
because I mean, for me, I I resonate with God, but it doesn't have to be, it can be whatever you resonate with that is bigger than you. You know, it's bigger than me. This whole cosmos, this whole universe, it's so much bigger than me. I'm just a little speck, a little piece of energy, and trying to, ripple, what I consider to be the number one thing is love. Love is what's going to change the world. And that's what I try to do.
Mm.
So I just feel like we have to have faith in something to carry us through those tough times. That's been my experience.
Yeah. So people can find you. I'll put your link in, and people can find you at, tell me your website again.
Well, right now I'm just going with the dawnboveprints.com.
Okay.
You can find me on Facebook, Dawn Bove Art. And I also have an Instagram, Heartwork by Dawn. I have another Facebook group, Heartwork by Dawn. And that's what I've got right now.
Sounds great. And thank you so much for joining me here on this little collaboration, which I'm sure we're going to do more. And I'm going to go on your podcast in July, and I'm
Yeah.
super excited about that. Um,
Yes.
yeah. And thank you, everybody that's watching and listening, as I share my love of fun, connection, collaboration, and art. It would be great if you subscribe and leave a review. That'd be wonderful. Being a facilitator of conversation, I pose open-ended questions, and in this case, I just read the chapter, and I just let the conversation flow from there. And thank you for flowing with me today. And
Yeah, I was gonna say, if anybody wanted to get a hold of me, you can email me at dawn@dawnboveart.com.
yes, because
So
there could be some people that will just, just want to chat with you. So that's
yeah,
a good
yeah.
thing. Mhm.
So thank you so much for having me on your
Yeah,
show. I
I've
really
enjoyed it.
appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing your travels too. That seems super exciting.
I
So
know. I
I'll
know.
be watching.
Great. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
All
you so
right.
much.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Bye.